So let's talk about emotion. Those pesky little things that get you into trouble because you ask this wrong girl to prom because you thought there was something there, and then ends up you were in the friend zone the whole time. Not that that ever happened to me. Just saying. But seriously, emotions are one of those things that are attached to every single thing we do. Whether it be preconceived notions of what the future will hold and the emotion we have with that, our present sense, that the emotions that we carry with us today in this very moment, and sometimes, they're subconscious. You wake up in the morning, you're kind of irritated and you're not always sure why, and then something happens where you just shed that layer of responsibility, or that weight comes off your shoulders, and you're like, man, I can't believe I was walking around so tense to start this day. I just needed to release that, or I needed to talk to someone, or I needed to hug someone. Or it can be thoughts of the past. Emotions come up. Say, like, for new parents, you only have your first child once. Each birth is special. I mean, it's a blessing and a miracle. But you only have your first child once, and you're gonna take that emotion with you for the rest of your life. You could be laying in bed at 3 a.m. as for some reason it pops into your head how your first child came into this world, and there's an emotion that's gonna come back. Sometimes, for a lot of people, really, just as strongly and just as vivid as the first time they experienced it. So the big reason I'm talking about emotion isn't to do with those examples I gave you, but it's more to kind of show you how you interact with other people, and even how you look at yourself, um, without even realizing it, and just trying to get people to maybe, I don't want to say empathetic, because it just seems like such a sciencey term sometimes, but just have the ability to step back for a moment, kind of alleviate your narrow focus, and put yourself in other people's shoes. See how the same situation can be viewed by different eyes, by different brains, by different people's emotions. So my first example, in case you're not sure exactly where I'm coming from, would be um, a friend of mine. Um, we meet up at the gym together. We kind of motivate each other to push harder when we're sore, when we don't really want to be there. That kind of buddy, raw kind of thing. So one day my friend shows up, usually pretty chatty, kind of shows up like a big high five in the middle of the gym. What's up, buddy? One of those kind of things. And today it's just nothing. Just like, look my friend in the eye, just kind of see this glassy look as if they've never seen me before. And immediately, I mean, what do you think when that happens? Right? Exactly. You think, what did I do? What is it that I did to put someone who I thought was my friend in such a state that they can't even acknowledge my existence as they walk into a building? You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, it was kind of a self-reflective moment, and that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about it today, because I realized obviously it had nothing to do with me. I had done nothing except for give, time, a loving friendship, energy to my friend, and there's nothing I had done to create how they were feeling on that particular day. Now, not so soon after I had those thoughts to myself. I'm not going to walk up and just share what I'm thinking all the time. I've learned that the hard way. But, not too soon after, I found out that my friend's mother was actually in the hospital, and my friend had been there, all night. Doctors aren't sure what's going on. and they're just kind of at their wits' end and don't know what to do. So they figured they'd come to the gym to meet me in order to get a little dose of positivity and a little perspective on the situation. Isn't that incredible? So they came to me looking for clarity, looking for not a fix. I'm not a doctor, or even if I was, you can't just fix people with a snap of a finger. But they came to me in order to see the situation through someone else's eyes and to talk through it, to take that weight off of themselves, that responsibility of holding that tension off of themselves, and share it with another, not in the way of burdening me, but to just share a little piece of themselves, a little piece of their heart, a little piece of their soul with me in order to move through life just a little bit smoother, trying to choose the path of least resistance, if you will. And it just got me thinking again of emotion, because within the span of 10 minutes, and you can relay this to your own lives. I don't want this story to be the focal point, but how many times have you gone into a place, or you've gone in for an interview, and you see your interviewer sitting at the table, and you're like, oh my Lord, they're not going to like me at all. Just from the way they're sitting, or like, oh, this isn't the place for me. You start beating yourself down, or letting doubt flood into your mind before you even start. And by the end of that interview, you're exchanging numbers with your interviewer saying, my God, I never knew I could find someone that was so similar to me and saw the world exactly as I see it. So in the case of emotion, what I'm really saying is, you may carry a suitcase with you every day. If you can picture that, a suitcase of emotion. In some people's it may be fear, anxiety from something that happened. Others may be happiness and exuberance from something that happened, or expectation they have, and they look at you and just be like, isn't the sun just extra beautiful today? Like, I don't know, I haven't looked at it. I hear that's bad for the eyes. Like, no, but just take a second. Some of those people are just over the top, like, today is the most beautiful day. And it's almost annoying because they're so happy. But what I'm talking about is either end of the spectrum. Everyone carries something or some things with them each and every day. And I think that if we as a whole can realize that, then we as a whole can understand and live amongst each other much easier. I'm not saying everything will be fixed. I'm not saying all quarrels will magically disappear. But just imagine for a second, if in that example that I just gave you guys, if I saw my friend's face and went with the idea of, what did I do? What could I possibly have done? I've been so nice. Even remembered last month's birthday, brought a cake, the whole thing, and figured, okay, my friend's going to give me that energy, that negative energy. I'm going to give it right back. My friend thinks they're tough. Well, they're going to see. And then what happened? What would happen? My friend then feels that they can't share with me, or feels that I'm selfish some way, or ignorant to the fact that they're obviously going through something outside of our relationship, that they can have a life. Things happen. Might have gotten pulled over by the cops on the way to the gym to come and work out, to come and suffer with all this weight that we try to lift around. And that could have been it. That, I just got a $300 ticket and I don't know how I'm going to pay it. That would affect anyone. So, even if it's just today, or maybe 2 days, or if you want to start fresh, you wake up in the morning, just make a mental note of, don't take things at face value only. Just try to step back from the situations you encounter and ask yourself, what are the possibilities? Take the blinders off for a day, for a week, for a month, and just sit back, assess the situation, and then react the best way you know how. Because you never know who you may help or who may help you in being open and receptive to the full variance of emotion, not just picking and choosing the ones that you want in order to go along with the plan that you've already created in your head. Do you understand? Does that make sense? So that idea of stepping back, I think, is what can be beneficial for all of us. The idea that everyone is going through something, whether it be happiness, sad, negative, positive, whatever it could be. But if we can step back and understand that though it may have nothing to do with us, we may be able to help the situation, even if it's by saying absolutely nothing and just lending an ear. But when it comes to emotion, I find that so often it is the one thing we as society have in common that gets us into trouble, because we choose to jump to conclusions. And yet emotion is the thing that connects us all. You know, even negative emotions. Everyone's been in a place where you're like, oh, why me? Even that connects us, connects souls, connects beings in our cities, towns, countries, global society. So why can't we then connect with every person that we come across? Do they have to be your best friend? No. Do they have to be your grandmama? No. But there's no reason that we can't take the time to see things as clearly as possible and not shadow them with our own viewpoints, if you will. So try it out. Maybe you already have, and I hope you do, because I think you'll be amazed at what you find when you just take a second to take a deep breath, step back from any situation, as innocent as it may seem, and let your mind float to the different possibilities of what could be going on, and then come back to yourself and see how differently every conversation, every interaction you have will be, and how much more enjoyment you'll get out of it, because you are now open to everything that is being thrown at you. So let's be more human. How about that? Let's try that today. Emotions are crazy.